Hello and welcome to another episode of TEDxDupreeParkTV. I am so glad that you've joined us here today. I'm Gina Carr. I'm the COO of TEDxDupreeParkTV and the curator of the speakers for our in-person event. And now we have transferred that in-person event to a live event that we're broadcasting each week on Facebook Live. We're broadcasting to YouTube and to Twitter. Did you know you could still broadcast to Twitter through Periscope? That's still a thing. So today we have some wonderful folks that we're going to be introducing to you. It goes along with our theme of seeding greatness. So we're going to be sharing a lot of powerful ideas with you, people who are inspiring us, and I know they're going to inspire you as well. And the person who's gotten this all started is our TEDx organizer, Steve Monahan. So Steve, let's bring you on and get an update from Steve Monahan, the organizer of TEDx Dupree Park TV and TEDx Dupree Park. How's life with you today?
It's great. Every day is great. You know, I say that every day, and I mean it every day. It is. So I'm really looking forward to the show today, too. We've got a great mix of people. TED is about science and technology and humanities, and they all intersect with today's group. So I'm excited about it. Speaking about good news, too, I love following stuff on plant-based and animals and animal welfare. And there was two that I actually am going to put in one of our blogs. One was they've determined, trying to figure out what we're going to do with this economy after COVID. And one thing we've learned, eating meat and factory processing and all that is not the best idea. And they figured out in South America, they can increase employment by 20 million people if they would move towards plant-based. And they've been suffering with the COVID down there and with the slaughterhouses and stuff. So, I mean, we think we're going to lose jobs, and we may. There's no doubt about it with AI. But if we can build the right ecosystem and we move more to plant-based, we can actually increase jobs. So that'd be 20 million just in South America. The other thing which tied into it, I don't know if people know this, but cows, which we eat, it's funny, we don't eat dogs, but we eat cows. We won't eat cats, but we'll eat chickens. And that was another article I was writing. But the thing is that science has shown, and I think we all know, that cows are actually very intelligent. They form bonds with each other. They form friendship with each other. They can even be in squabbles with each other. So sometimes they got to mix the herd up because they can get their nose out of joint if one bothers the other one, kind of just like us humans. So the point is, if we go plant-based, we can get more jobs. If we stop eating cows, we can increase safety and health. So a lot of good things are going to come from this once we get through it, and we will.
Well, absolutely. And you prompted my thinking on a few things. Number one, just to preview the next few episodes, we're going to have some doctors and some professionals who are going to talk some more about these issues of plant-based eating and nutrition. And it's going to be really terrific in these next coming up episodes. And also the sentience and intelligence of all animals. Yes, cows are smart, pigs are smart, chickens are smart. They make great pets. And it's just a cultural thing in the United States that we don't happen to eat dogs or cats. And they do in other countries. And we would say, ooh, that's terrible. But in other countries, they say, ooh, that's terrible that you eat cows. So I've done a lot of presentations on this topic, and I'm very passionate about it, as I know you are as well. So I appreciate you bringing that up and, shedding some light on it because it is quite important. And with that, let's go ahead and bring on our very first guest today. A big part of TEDx is our speakers, of course. That's what most people think about when they think about TEDx. They think about someone spouting wisdom and knowledge, standing on the red circle. Some people call it the circle of fame. Some people call it the circle of death, but the red circle for the TEDx. And what you don't know is that a lot of times behind the scenes, most of the times for TEDx, this sort of convention, is that all of those speakers have been coached by a volunteer coach who gives them advice and who helps them. And so one of the coaches who's helping us is going to be coming on in just a minute. Let me tell you a little bit about him. Nathan Caldwell is nicknamed the culture evangelist for a 1.2 billion software company that Nathan helped to shape a cohesive culture in the midst of multiple acquisitions. As a keynote director, speechwriter, speaker coach for executives, video marketer, evangelist, and with a background as an educator, actor, and theater director, Nathan has helped coach countless people to find their passion and inspire audiences to be great. As the #1 best-selling author of the thought leadership book, Empowering Kindness, don't you love that title, Steve?
Yeah.
Nathan has his fingers on the pulse of what really helps businesses grow, and that is their people. And so with that, Nathan, let me bring you on board here and let's learn a little bit from Nathan. Nathan, how's life for you today?
Oh, it's going well. Thanks so much for having me on the show. Really appreciate it. It's great to see both of you.
Hey,
Well,
nice to see you.
Great to see you too. And we are, when I first met you and you told me about the work you were doing in kindness, I was just so excited. And I'm just so delighted that you've been able to be part of our TEDx family. You're working with one of our speakers, Julie Donnelly, one of my close friends. And she's just taught me so much over the years and inspired me. How's your experience been working with Julie?
Oh, it's been so much fun. Really, it's just so neat to hear other people's stories and then help them to uncover pieces that they didn't know that they had. And so that's the part that I've really had a lot of fun with Julie on, is because she came to me with her story and said, this is what I've got. And then I started asking more questions. Well, what about this piece? What about that piece? And from there, we uncovered some even more powerful emotional revelations and also factual revelations, because she's dealing with a topic that's so important to people right now. I mean, ongoing, but it's the relief of physical pain. And what she brings up in her speech is that not everyone, when you go to the doctor, you go to the chiropractor or different medical professionals, not everyone is stopping to say, well, maybe there's a problem with your muscles. And so her whole speech outlines just exactly several stories and ways that as a massage therapist, she's uncovered that there can be a lot of medical solutions if people stop and say, let's bring muscles into the mix of something that we evaluate as the problem causing feature as well.
Terrific. Well, we are so impressed with, and I'm just so glad you're bringing all this out of Julie, because she has so much knowledge, and for her to be able to share that is going to be fantastic. Tell us a little bit more about the work you're doing with kindness. We're just so impressive. That's so in sync with us, with our theme of seeding greatness. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I love that it's in sync with what you're doing. And I totally agree. When you say seeding greatness, that's really entirely this whole idea of empowering kindness. And it's that kindness itself, when we perform it, we as humans perform at our optimal levels. There are so many physical benefits to being kind to others. There's also mental health benefits to being kind to others. And then also it's an organizational health benefit for people to operate at their optimal level. And so the idea, though, of not just doing the kindness, but also giving people around you, taking a leadership role and giving those around you the ability, the authority, and also the autonomy to be kind to those who are around them. And this is so very important in organizations, not only to promote teamwork, but also to promote excellent customer service and just overall job satisfaction too.
What was your experience in writing and publishing your book? I've done a few, and I learned a lot through it. So, what's one thing you really learned from it?
Just that it's important to share what's on your heart. I think that is the biggest lesson that, you know, a lot of people might step back and say, well, do I really have a book within me? And the truth is that we all have a lifetime of caring about different things. And for me, it was just a matter of sitting down and kind of, you know, in all those shows where they're trying to uncover the solution, they have the red string across all these different clues to come to one solid fact. For me, it was, how do I connect all these different thoughts in my life? And I was doing a lot of speaking for a company, doing a lot of thought leadership work. And the underlying factor that I could pinpoint through every one of my thoughts was the idea of being kind to others and just how important that is. And there were several experiences that I had that really made me doubt it, where I thought, am I right? Or should I be more of a cutthroat corporate type person? And at the end of the day, after doing a ton of studies on like scientific studies, medical studies, different things that showed, though, that there is truth in the benefits of being kind, then I kind of stepped away and said, no, this is right. And it needs to be shared more often.
Right. You know, I shared that something similar with you when I was in corporate and I rose to the top. You had to compartmentalize things, and you had to play the game. And the game was, you know, win, you know, don't show kindness, you know, don't show mercy, keep pushing. And then when I wound up surviving when I wasn't supposed to, it totally flipped me around, and it for some reason woke me up. I mean, I started a nonprofit, and I started just living from my heart, and it was so amazing. The same people in my life I saw from a different perspective. So I really think there's kindness in all of us. It kind of gets programmed out of us. And I'm thinking with COVID and people being at home and concerned about each other, I think it has to come back. And I think it will come back. What is your perspective on this, the separation that we're all being pushed towards? You know, we're breaking up into different minorities, different this, different that. You know, we're trying to pull everybody apart, and the kindness is kind of coming out. How do you see we will get back to where we are which one of our things besides seeing greatness is to try to create a kinder, more compassionate world? And I know people would say, good luck on that one, but I really think it's possible. What's your thoughts on interjecting that back into us so we can be human again?
Well, the beautiful thing about kindness is that it does not take gargantuan efforts to have gargantuan results. So for instance, I'll challenge you, okay? In your life, think about something or someone who did something for you where it means the world to you. It's a memory that you will carry with throughout your life, and it's even something that shapes the way that you have even a worldview. Like, it completely changed the trajectory of your life. And then if you were to go to that individual and say, hey, I want you to know what this meant to me. What does it mean to you? That person might even say, I don't even remember saying that to you, right? The effort of kindness is 100%. I mean, it has individual benefits, but the real power is what it can do in someone else's life. And so I'll illustrate something from my life. When I was probably 12 or 13, I volunteered to paint the exterior of our church building. It wasn't that big of a deal because it was just like the block wall underneath the siding. So, you know, it wasn't a big deal. It started to rain. And so I packed up my stuff, got on my bike, and rode home. Well, one of the members of the church, the guy who was kind of in charge of making sure it got done, got me all the paint, got me all set up. He called me up and he's like, hey, you didn't finish your job. And I was thinking like, well, it started to rain. And he goes, well, Now, this is for a Canadian, a very special like hockey locker room moment. And he kind of took the role of a coach and said, well, are you made of sugar? Are you going to melt? Now, that may not seem like kind words, but to me, it was that effort of somebody caring about me doing a good job, holding me accountable for it, and then sharing something that helped me grow. And now that's why I say it's this simple little phrase, but boy, oh boy, has that not stuck with me throughout my entire life, to where I'm up against an obstacle, I'm facing a difficult challenge, and I replay that phrase in my head. Am I made of sugar? Am I going to melt? And I go forward with that. And the idea behind this of making sure that we as people unite with one another and do what we can to promote peace with one another and kindness is that very thing, that we take the opportunity to instill kindness in someone else's life, because that moment for them can be everything.
Yeah.
And that, you know, the guy that I bring up that shared that, you know, what are you, sugar? You're going to melt. He doesn't remember saying that to me, but now it's like a little bit of a mantra for me to like go through, almost as good as a quote from the Rocky movies, you know?
Yeah.
I love that. That is so powerful. Yeah, you're so right. People, we say things to people and they can have a huge lasting impact. And I know just last fall, I met up with a person that I was in his audience in 2007. And so this was 2019. And I had never bothered to get back. I didn't know him personally, but I could have connected with him. But I never told him how seriously his comments had impacted my life. He was a futurist. And I was sitting in the audience when he said, if you are under the age of 50, you have a 95% chance to live to be 125 years old. And I just gasped. It's like, oh my gosh, I really have a huge life in front of me still. And I can go do so much. And that really put me on a path to making some significant changes in my life. But when I saw him, he's like, really? I had no idea. How cool is that? But I remember it was like it was yesterday.
Well, I like to think of it too, Gina, like Bruce Springsteen, okay? He's written so many great songs that 17-year-old kids just hammer out in their garage, and like it means the world to them. But Bruce doesn't know that. Like, he doesn't know those people individually. And so what I think of is like our lives are this beautiful composition that we are writing. And it's going to be played back in someone else's life and mean something to them in such a different way that we may never know about. And that's the whole idea of the impact of not only being kind in other people's lives, but especially if you're in a leadership position. If you give your people that are on your team, in your business, in your organization, the authority to be kind, the autonomy to be kind, and the ability to be kind, then you are going to foster just all of this growth all around you. We talk about a rising tide rises all ships, you know, and you giving that opportunity to your people not only significantly impacts their lives, but then it has a multiplier effect and it goes out into the other circles of their lives. And think about your whole team. If that's the culture that you instill in your people, then it's just such a teamwork mentality of, no, I'm going to help you. Now I'm going to help you. Now I'm going to help you. And we get better and better and better. And no one's like having to sit there watching their back like, oh, am I doing a good job? That's not my job, not my problem. That's your problem. Leave me alone. Got to keep my head down until I've had my third cup of coffee and then I'll acknowledge you. But instilling that idea of looking to others and being kind.
Well, Nathan, I love that so much, and I'm just so thrilled that you could come on board and share that with us today, and that you're part of our TEDx Dupree Park family in being one of our premier coaches for Julie. And it's just wonderful to have you as part of our team. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
The very best way is hit me up on LinkedIn. So it'd be great to connect with tons of people. So yeah, that's not my picture. I'm not Marcy Walsh, but I am Nathan Caldwell. So Marcy Walsh is very much better looking than me. But, you know, if you want to connect with a rugged Canadian on LinkedIn, then I'm your man.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Nathan. We really appreciate you. Take care.
All right. Thank you so much.
Take care, Nathan.
Wow, that's so great. And I just love his message. And I hope that one day he'll be on our TEDx stage to share that as well, instead of being behind the scenes. But what's the great thing about shifting to virtual like we're doing right here is that we're bringing the people that are even behind the scenes that are so empowering and have such great messages to the world as well, and even in a bigger way because of our TEDx Dupree Park TV.
Yeah, yeah. We've got some great coaches. I mean, really are. And they're, you know, such kind people to do that, you know, to take someone and try to mold them into creating a TED speech, which we know is so different than a corporate speech or any other speech. It's, you know, it's just a lot of precision to it. So they're really good coaches and kind people.
Exactly. Well, let me tell you about our next guest. In our TEDx Dupree Park world, we have our speakers, our coaches, our team members, and we have what we call our sages. So these super smart people that don't have another formal role on our team right now, but we want to bring them to you so that you can get to know them and you can be inspired by them just as we are. And so our next guest is Dr. Bill Massey, and he is a neuropharmacologist, a pharmacogeneticist, I hope I said that right, senior executive, inventor, and entrepreneur. Dr. Massey received his PhD in pharmacology at the University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences and subsequently has held academic appointments at the Pritzker School of Medicine at the University of Chicago and the Vanderbilt University, where he held the Jack Martin, MD, research professorship in pharmacology. Dr. Massey is a world-renowned researcher in genetics and in the biological basis and pharmacological treatment of schizophrenia and serious mental illness. Dr. Massey holds an adjunct faculty appointment at the University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences. In addition to his academic career, Dr. Massey has held leadership positions at Merck, AstraMerck, Quintiles, AstraZeneca, and Advanced Therapeutic Applications, among others. He's been a leader in the field of pharmacogenetics, that's a new term for me, pharmacogenetics and personalized medicine for over 2 decades. Dr. Massey currently conducts research into the molecular detection of infectious pathogens, including SARS-CoV-2, which I'm curious to see how that relates to SARS-CoV-19. Dr. Massey, welcome aboard. How are you doing today?
Great. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Good. Well, tell us, what is a pharmacogeneticist? I've never heard that term before.
That's when you use people's genetics to see how they would personally respond to drugs. You know, people could take a drug, have the same condition, but they respond very differently. And the biological basis for that has to do with our genes. So we now know enough about the genome and about people's variation as it relates to how they'll respond to drugs, where we can actually give them the best drug for them instead of practicing what we call population-based medicine, where it's what's good for the average person. And you can get very improved results with that. And that sort of thing has led me into other areas of personalized medicine, like in infectious disease, where we use genetics to identify pathogens and identify how we can treat them better.
Well, speaking of infectious diseases, can you give us a rundown? You have the work with CoV-2. Is that the same as COVID-19, or just give us a little explanation how that differs?
Yeah, SARS-CoV-2 is the virus that actually causes COVID-19. So yes, we do a lot of work with that. And I just yesterday published a large paper, a 12,000 patient study on COVID-19, showing that most people that have it, 86%, also have nasty co-infections with other bacteria. And that's really important because in previous viral pandemics, like the 1918 influenza pandemic or the 2009 SARS pandemic, more people had died from bacterial co-infections than they did from the virus itself. So,
boy, that's yes, and that's one of the things that I think is not being talked enough about. I think a lot of people are speculating and wondering. These statistics just seem kind of strange, and it makes me wonder, like, what if we were keeping a counter on, okay, so this is the number of people who died of heart disease today, and this is the number of people who died of diabetes today, and all these things that are happening that we could have some impact on in our life and our lifestyle choices, and yet the focus, because of the pandemic, is on this. Does that strike you as a little interesting as well?
well, it's actually a major part of why some people have serious disease and others do not. If you have cardiovascular disease, existing cardiovascular disease, your chances of having a negative outcome with COVID-19 is much greater. And we think that has to do with inflammation, which underlies the cardiovascular illness. But it also links to diet because, a lot of people eat foods that have inflammatory reactions in their body. You've probably heard of the anti-inflammation diets, where you eat plant-based diets in order to reduce the inflammation. All those things have a huge impact on how someone responds to SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19.
So, Bill, is what you're doing, first of all, TED is about, I think I said before, science and technology. And boy, you've nailed them. You're doing both ends of it. I mean, this is really the future of medicine. It's going to be so good for this world because it can be precision, like you said. Is this is the new term, precision medicine? Is that what they're?
Yeah, I mean, you hear it both ways, either personalized medicine or precision medicine. And, I got into this on the drug development side. I was trying to figure out why in these drug trials we would half the time not be able to distinguish between our positive control, the drug that was supposed to work, and the test drug. And the only thing you could think of was it had to be something about genetics. So this is in the mid-90s. And then when it became commercially feasible to actually test people's genetics, that was probably around 2010, 2011. I was actually at Vanderbilt doing genetic work in schizophrenia, trying to figure out why one person responded to one antipsychotic and another person responded to a different one. And so it's kind of funny, people say, well, I want to I'd give a talk about this. And it had such dramatic results. And I'd give a talk about this, and other physicians would say, hey, how can I be a leader in personalized medicine? A thought leader. And I would say the fact that you're thinking about it makes you a thought leader, because very few people are even doing it. Right. So, keep thinking about it, see how you can put this into practice. And of course, since that time, it's grown tremendously in its utility and in how we advance to save lives. And, it's, so I work at Vicor Scientific, and we test about 9,000 COVID samples a day. We're trying to diagnose COVID. And we also diagnose the other co-infections as well. And so one of the things we're trying to do here is to try to inform people, like with that paper that's getting published now, looking at co-infections, that you need to test for these other pathogens, because you're more likely than not, they're going to have them. And these are treatable pathogens that can kill you. So, like I say, half the time people die from pathogens other than the virus. And so if we can treat those, we can have a huge impact on how many people survive COVID-19.
Now, the precision would be, I know in my case, it would have been good. I wound up my organs shutting down and all that. And so they were giving me, trying all different drugs for everything. And so they wound up at the end, removing my heart, removing the pericardium, and I was fine. But also, one was an inflammation drug, steroidal type. And I wound up as a man with severe osteoporosis. So had it been more precision, perhaps, what they gave me to fix one thing actually made something else worse. So I'm alive now with the heart, but now, I've had 3 vertebrae in my back break, and that kind of stuff. So, if we could get away with just blanketing things, it would be quite amazing.
Yeah, we're actually getting better, I believe, at treating people holistically. I know that the way that our insurance paradigm works in healthcare in the United States, that sometimes dictates that you follow particular algorithms. But, people like me that do personalized medicine research, we bring out when you really have a tool that can save money, improve people's outcomes, reduce suffering, and we can do this, then we can persuade these insurance companies to take that sort of approach, identify those patients in which a personalized medicine approach has great utility. And then we can get them to implement this, and it'll become part of our standard of care.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do.
If we could make a simple switch to, it would seem to me, if we could start thinking about wellness care instead of illness care, we could save a lot of money, and we wouldn't have it. It's like if you're in industry and business and, you're a very successful person in all that with different companies you have, but it would be, why don't we just fix the problem? Well, the problem is what we're eating instead of the back end problem of how do you fix what you've been putting in. If we could figure a way to make more money, businesses can make more money on the eating end instead of the drug end of it, maybe a little bit different paradigm. Let me ask you a silly question. I'm in animal welfare. So when I saw the COVID-19 thing came up, first they thought it was a bat. And then they thought it was, something in the wet markets that someone ate. And then they thought it was a pangolin animal. Mm-hmm. So is it important that they identify, in order to come up with a solution, what kind of a virus, where it came from? Or the other was, maybe it was manufactured on purpose. So is it important to know where it came from, or that's not important at all?
Well, now that it's here, it's probably not important at all. But, prior to that, so bats, just for instance, bats harbor thousands of different coronaviruses that haven't yet made a leap to humans. And in the bats, they don't cause them any problems at all. So, these sorts of leaps from species into the human species happen, this is a common thing. There's no evidence to support that this was a man-made virus. If you look at all of the studies that have sequenced the virus, and I do some sequencing work here too, if you look at all of that, it just indicates that this was a natural mutated virus that got into a human somewhere and then was able to spread to other humans, probably out of the Wuhan meat market, the wild marketplace that they have there, essentially game meats. But more importantly than those sorts of things are the encroachment of humans upon natural habitat.
Right.
So that encroachment actually brings us into contact with these viruses that we've never seen before. And it's just a matter of time before one of them makes the leap into humans and causes the sort of damage and carnage that you've seen with COVID-19.
Yeah.
It happens. It's happened over and over. I'm sure it will happen again. Hopefully we will learn some things this time and be much better prepared in the future. Humans have a tendency to downplay things that aren't immediate. If it's not happening right now, they tend to essentially, it's called delayed discounting. they discount it because it's delayed. Well, I think this might cure a few people from the delayed discounting, and we'll take these things more seriously in the future.
Right.
Well, Dr. Massey, it's been most enlightening, and I particularly love that you shared that a plant-based diet is less inflammatory, and that results in so many improved conditions of the body. People don't understand the inflammation that eating animals caused. I was shocked when I learned it, and so I love sharing that message with others. And it's great when it comes from someone as educated in this field as you. Before we let you go, I'm going to give you the floor for a few seconds. Just tell us, is there anything that you haven't shared yet that you want to share, and let us know how to get in touch with you.
Sure. I want to tell people about COVID-19 because, I get asked these questions daily. It looks to me that we will have a workable vaccine before Christmas. And, the group in Oxford was already ahead working on MERS, which is another coronavirus, and they had a method and a manufacturing facility, and they look to be poised to get that to us in time for that. But the other thing is get your flu shot, because if you get the flu while you have COVID, you're more likely to have a poor outcome. And that's something we can prevent. That, and you've got a little bit of time, try to get in better shape, try to eat better, because you really, all of those things come in very handy whenever you get COVID-19. And I'm a COVID-19 survivor, and it was no fun, and you don't want to do it. It's sort of inevitable. I would get it, I think, but you know, you need to take care of yourself, take this seriously, and do the best you can to avoid it. And if you get it, hopefully you're in good health, and you'll have a good outcome.
Well, thank you so much. And I'd like to thank our sponsor, we call her the sponsorship goddess, Bhavna Mutha, on our TEDx team. She's been real involved in getting the word out to the community and to experts like you about what we're doing to seed greatness. And so, Bhavna, thank you so much for introducing us to Dr. Massey. And this is wonderful. You guys have worked together in the past?
Correct. In providing treatment recommendations based on genetic results of pathogen identification. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, so good. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And we look forward to having you back and sharing more of your wisdom. And what's the best way for folks to get in touch with you?
You can look me up on LinkedIn, or you can get in touch with me directly at bmassey@bwmassey.com. Very simple.
Excellent. Very good. Well, thank you so much. You take care, Dr. Massey. All right. Well, boy, there's so many super smart people in the world, and we are so privileged to have the smartest of the smartest in our community, and people that we know and that are interested in what we're doing at TEDxDupreeParkTV and TEDxDupreePark. So we didn't have our in-person event in May, but hopefully we'll have one day soon. And we're working on some other surprises behind the scenes that we think are going to be really interesting to you guys. And as part of that, we need sponsors, and sponsors are a big part of our evolution. So Steve, as we bring on sponsors, what are the things that you think our sponsors should be thinking about in terms of whether they, supporting us?
I would say this, TED, part of the problem we have right now is people aren't doing things because they don't trust who's saying it and what reason they're saying it. So trust is so important. That's one of the things we need to build back, is trust. And I would have to say TED is probably one of the most trusted brands out there. People know that, for us to get a license, there was things we had to go through. What we talk about, what we can't talk about. It has to be run through a nonprofit. Companies can't buy a license, if you hear it on a TED Talk, these are some of the best people in the world that are giving these talks, and they're talking from their heart. No one can make money on it. They can't be paid to be a speaker. You can't pay them. Coaching, you can't pay. I mean, so it's the cleanest thing out there. So you would be aligning yourself, whatever your message is, and everybody, as we said, has a story, and everybody has a message. So to be able to align your message with TED, you get that halo effect, and you get to meet with some really wonderful people like this. So it's a great networking group to be a part of. It's not a cut above. It's just a different group of people to be associated with. So that's, if we want to make an impact, you want to make it through an organization that people trust and will be looking to more and more, because TED, we're getting larger. We're doing more and more global things, and we're doing them not only global, but on a local basis too. We're combining both. So it's just a wonderful platform to be a part of, for intelligent people to share great ideas that are worth spreading. And this TV of what we're doing is just a sample of that. So it's a wonderful family to be a part of.
Absolutely. Well, I know that for both of us, we both have a big heart for Woodstock, Georgia, which is where this TEDx is going to be held. And so our next guest has a lot to do with with Cherokee County and Woodstock, Georgia. And so let's bring him on. This is Jonathan Chambers. He's a native of Georgia for 26 years, born in Central Florida, but raised in South Georgia for the last 25 years. He has a deep love for business, people, and the beautiful landscape of Georgia. In the workforce for over 2 decades, he started and ran his own successful award-winning business at 28 years old and launched a mobile technology startup at 31. During that time, he also served in key leadership roles at a few nonprofits, doing vision planning, strategy, and leading multiple teams towards fresh growth initiatives. More recently, he serves as the director of marketing and operations for a high-growth innovation hub, an investment firm in Midtown Atlanta called Tech Square Labs. Jonathan loves investing his time and talent in the local community and is passionate about connecting them to innovative ways of building the economy. He's been married to his wife, Allison, for 14 years, and he has 3 daughters. And we met Jonathan through the Cherokee Economic Development Authority, which I actually used to be a member of the board of that. So with that, Jonathan, what is your official role with the Cherokee County Development Authority?
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Gina, I really appreciate the time. So my role is called Community Manager of Entrepreneurship. So it's kind of a mouthful, but essentially, I think nowadays that role is kind of morphed into this brand new innovative role that's better termed as an ecosystem builder. So my job is to resource, support, create a community and a culture around entrepreneurship in the Cherokee County area, which is Northwest Atlanta. And like you said, is Woodstock, Canton, some of those cities are the heart of where we are. So that's what I do.
For those that don't know it, I've been in Woodstock when I came down with ITT and then Deutsche Bank. So I've been here 30 years, and it's just amazing, really amazing how beautiful this city has turned out. The downtown is just a hub of excitement with restaurants and boutiques and breweries and just so much. And then right in the heart of it is your One Innovation Way is where Jonathan and it's a team effort, right? It's the college, it's the community of Woodstock downtown development, the county development, and the entrepreneurship thing there. It's in a was it 147-year-old gym? What is it? Something like that. You got the sign there.
That's right. Well, so the gym, where the co-work space, the circuit is located inside of the old basketball gym, which was the original Woodstock Elementary School, I think back in 1908.
Yeah.
So you've got 110, 112 years there, but we like to say that Cherokee is a 189-year-old startup community. Established in 1831. So just a rich history, to your point, Steve, of entrepreneurship and culture and community. And it's it's an honor to live here.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell us about the circuit, because it's really unique. I mean, it is there, Atlanta, downtown Atlanta has something, but this one just has, it's not only for the tech people, but I mean, there's Alma Coffee there, so regular people can come in.
Yeah.
Tell us how it's unique in your eye, and the people in the city here know that, but share that with the rest.
Sure. Thanks, Stephen. So yeah, it's called the Circuit, and it's located in the old basketball gym of the Woodstock Elementary School years ago. And then Chattahoochee Technical College, which is the largest technical college in the state of Georgia. They've got about 9 campuses, 10 if you add their online community, probably close to 10,000 students. Long story short, our office did a business plan almost a decade ago, looking to do a co-work space or an incubator to try to resource the startups and the creatives in our community, and explored this building. It was run down and starting to fall apart. And thanks to Chattahoochee Tech having a vision for the campus, we came in and said, hey, if you're going to have this space, let's use it as a student center for the students at Chattahoochee Tech to study and hang out. Let's get a coffee shop and some co-working space, some desks and offices in there for entrepreneurs to have affordable workspace, access to programs and events. And then let's open it up to the public. So really, it is literally the first of its kind in the state of Georgia for a technical college to have a co-work space. And what's amazing to me is you get full circle, right? You've students and talent and entrepreneurs and business owners. And never before do you really get that kind of intersection of generations in the same room. So it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. And you've done a mentoring program too? So you're bringing the old buzzards in like me to teach a little bit back?
Well, in the spirit of what you guys are doing with Seeding Greatness, I mean, that's a big part of our vision, right? With our Fresh Start Cherokee initiative, it's the entrepreneurship program of our office. And we launched a brand new mentorship program. We went to the best of the best. We went to MIT a little over a year and a half, and braved the cold, got trained in their exclusive venture mentoring service, brought it back to here 2019 and launched that in July of last year. And it's a team-based mentorship program. The idea of one-on-one coaching works well, but gosh, if you could sit a startup entrepreneur or a creative with an idea across the room of, as you say, some old buzzards, but what I see are people who have wisdom and scars and lessons learned. If you can get 2 or 3 of those mentors across the table, that entrepreneur is even more likely to thrive, especially in light of the crisis we're in now.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, the last thing is you've had to close for a while during COVID, but you've come up with some traveling way to do it. Mike was telling me a truck that you're fitting out or something like that. What is that about? That's really interesting.
Yeah, give some quick context. Thanks for setting that up and for the reminder there, Mike. So our office, because we do economic development, we're working strategically to grow Cherokee County. You know, we're the fastest growing county in Metro Atlanta. There's so much talent here. And so really from kids to CEOs, we're trying to figure out how to best create a future. And a big part of that is talent and workforce development. So we, several members of our team, long story short, went out to Arkansas last year or a couple years ago and found out about a program called Be Pro, Be Proud. Well, we're proud to announce, I think it was just 2 weeks ago, we officially launched Be Pro, Be Proud Georgia, which is essentially a mobile workforce awareness unit. There's interactive labs on there to connect the skills trades to students, to give them the knowledge, the education they need, hands-on interactive modules inside of this rig. And then they could go to the website once they sign up and get connected to real jobs, learn about salaries. So, I mean, you're talking about a big game changer of stuff that I didn't have when I went to high school, and that my 3 girls and all the rest of the kids in Cherokee County can gain access to, as well as Metro Atlanta and hopefully statewide. So Be Pro, Be Proud Georgia, bringing the future of the workforce and the skills trades to our students.
It's great stuff, Jonathan. I'm so pleased that you're on with us today.
Yeah.
One of the other things that I learned from a recent email from you, another initiative you guys are involved with Atlanta's Tech Village, Started Up Georgia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I'm glad that it's more than you and my wife reading my emails. So we love to start things. We're a small team and we get in over our head, but only because we believe in what we do and we believe in the future. And one of those was partnering with another collaborative tech hub. Atlanta Tech Village is down in Midtown or Buckhead area. They're the 4th largest incubator in the state or in the country. But they, in response to the unemployment rate in Georgia through COVID, they said, what if we launched a mentorship program that was all online and gave free access to people who wanted to start a business? So when we got wind of that, we were like, we want to be a part of that. How do we partner? How do we support that? How do we supplement it with our resources? So what an exciting program. Started Up Georgia got 700 plus applications in a 4-week period. They start Monday, August 10th, and we're really, as partners with them, we're really encouraging them to do this more than once a year, but to do this often because people are desperate for help. So
that's very cool. And it's so exciting that Cherokee County is involved in that. One of the other things that I talk about a lot, and probably my favorite initiative, is 1 Million Cups.
Yeah.
I enjoy coming a couple of times a month as I can. Tell us a little bit more about that and how Cherokee County is fostering that initiative.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So 1 Million Cups, we started that chapter here about 2.5 years ago. It's called 1MC Cherokee, and you can go to 1millioncups.com to learn more. But it's a national program that started all the way out in mid-America, Kansas City, about 7 years ago. The idea is you get an entrepreneur in the room, they present their business, talk about their challenges, and then the community offers feedback and support. So it's really crowdsourcing solutions to the challenges an entrepreneur faces, and of course, free coffee. So yeah, what a great program. It works really well. And we have just had so much fun doing that for 2 years.
I got to meet our venue, Mad Life, Mike Levy and his wife, I think about a year and a half ago at 1 Million Cups. And what he is doing there, what they're trying to do is so innovative to me and exciting, setting up a music venue in downtown Woodstock. Mike's got a great history. He's a smart man, and how they have brought local talent to the stage in tribute bands. They have stand-up comedy. So I've met several really neat folks through Million Cups of Coffee, and it's by far, I think, my favorite thing you guys are working with right now.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that. I mean, if we can be a conduit, Mike, economic development agencies, co-working spaces across the country, startup communities, that's what it's all about. If we can be a conduit to rush in energy and resources and really help support, I mean, that's why we say entrepreneurship is a community sport. So you talk about seeding greatness. How can we leave a legacy if we don't support each other? So that's a big part of what we do. Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this entrepreneurship is a start. What did you call it? What did you say?
I said entrepreneurship is a community sport.
I love that. Yeah. That is terrific. Absolutely. Well, my goodness, you guys are doing so much more, so many more exciting things than we were doing years ago when I was on the Development Authority board. But it's Cherokee County just continues to grow and attract people. It's just such a wonderful place to, as they say, live, work, and play. It has been for a long time. And the initiatives you guys are doing, I love the focus on entrepreneurship. That's very important to me. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, and I just think it's the best. It's certainly the best choice for me.
Right. Yeah, I do too. I'm an entrepreneur. I have been for 12 years, and I even have a side hustle and working with this team full time. So I can truly empathize with these entrepreneurs and get in the trenches with them, and they're our future. So we have to get behind them.
Well, looks like you have a lot of fans out there with the 1 Million Cups of Coffee.
There we go.
Look at that, Gerald. You got a lot of fans out there today. Let's see. You have Gerald and Shauna, and who else is Molly? Let's see. You got a lot. You brought your whole fan club here.
That's right. Well, I've got a lot of fun humans that I love around the area that are fully supportive of all of our team, and we couldn't do it without all of us working together. So thank you guys for being willing to give platforms to make the connections.
Well, Jonathan, before we let you go, let me just give you the stage. And is there anything that you haven't gotten to tell us yet that you want to leave us with us in a point, and how to get in touch with you?
Sure. It'll be a little off topic, but as a dad of 3 girls, or as they say, a girl dad, seeding greatness is really close to my heart. I'll try not to tear up, but when I look at my 3 girls, Gracie, Natalie, and Maggie, they're 12, 10, and 2. And we talk all the time, my wife and I, about how do we make better humans? And we're trying to raise our girls to be more than worthy of this world, and for the world to not be worthy of them. So those watching and listening, everything you put your hands to is an opportunity to leave the world better. And that's what I personally care about. And that's what we're doing as a team too. So yeah, CherokeeGA.org is our website. And that's the last thing I'll say.
You know, we're just so happy to have you on. We've been talking to you for a year and a half. You're probably one of the first people in the county that we shared this with, and I appreciate your heart when you say that, because this is why we've done this. In the Seeding Greatness, I've got a 11-year-old granddaughter. The future is going to be here. It's here now, and the whole thing was the Greek quote is societies grow and flourish, not just grow, but flourish when its elders plant trees that they know they will never sit under, but they do it anyway. And that's what we got to be doing. We can't get too caught up in the moment of worrying about us. There's a future generation, and we got to be thinking about them. We can't leave them with a world like this. It has to be a better world. The more humanitarian efforts, more smart eating, and not eroding, the whole systems that we got. So if we could just all keep that in mind, we're doing this for the future generation. It drives me.
Absolutely. Well, I think it drives so many members of our team and so many people who have gotten involved and supportive and behind us. And so, Jonathan, for that, we thank you so much. Thanks so much for joining us today. And we look forward to spending more time at the circuit and drinking some of that wonderful coffee and socializing with the different people that are in your world. And thank you for all you're doing to help build entrepreneurs and to grow Cherokee County, Georgia, the United States, and the whole world. You're doing it right here on TEDx Dupree Park TV as we're streaming live to the entire world right now. So thank you so much, Jonathan.
Thank you, Gina, Steve, Marcy, Mike, for everything. Thanks for what you guys do.
Thank you. Well, let's bring Mike back on. And Mike, as many of you know who watch all the time, he is our co-organizer. And so, Mike, you usually give us at this time a little report on the state of Woodstock as you see it. Would you like to share a few words on what you see going on in the business community right now?
Well, I think Jonathan did a really good job of that, but Woodstock is clicking right along. One thing I'd like to do is echo what Steve was talking about, the benefits of sponsorship. And one of the things I'd like to remind everybody, some of you may not know, but as part of the CARES Act, the COVID-19 stimulus relief, every person in America that files a tax return can take a $300 above the line deduction charitable contribution. It's exactly what TEDx Dupree Park is. It's a charitable, nonprofit-driven Seeding Greatness organization. We would love to have you involved. We'll find a way to show mark your contribution. So feel free to use that $300 tax deduction to an excellent cause and align your name, personally, your business name, with what Steve said, again, one of the best recognized and respected brands on planet Earth, and that's TED.com.
Mike, would you just share a little more on that just for a second? Because I think this
Sure.
is important to some people. Mike is a certified financial planner. He helps people not only make money, but keep what they got.
Yeah.
It's really important. But, with the new tax laws, recently you had to
typically you had to itemize
you had to
deductions to take a charitable contribution. And there are other rules that somewhat stifle charitable giving. With the passage of I forget what they call it, back in 2017, the new Tax Act, where the standard deduction was virtually doubled and itemized deductions were restricted. The intent was to simplify things, but as with every good intention, there is good and bad. So a lot of people were no longer able to deduct for their charitable contributions. But this year only, tax year 2020, anybody that files a tax return can take a $300 deduction for a charitable contribution. And even if it's not TEDx Dupree Park, there are loads of very worthy organizations. I was heavily involved in CASA for Children in Cherokee County, which helps kids in dire straits manage the foster care and court system. Steve's own nonprofit, Green Pets America Charity, a great organization. There's so many fine organizations. I tell you, my personal thing is donate locally, get involved locally in your community. I do work with the United Way. I've acted as a financial coach with the United Way, but I give locally. I give to CASA, I give to Green Pets America. There's so many great local nonprofits that can use your help, your time, and your dollars.
I agree. Perfect. And, we need to support our small business people, Main Street,
Yep.
but we need to support the small nonprofits, like in our area, Papa's Pantry.
Yeah.
They're helping so many people. And there's just so many they got, a real heartbeat of what's going on with it. I know when I talk to people at my pet food pantry, it's just so nice to be able to talk to them. They give me their dog's name, and what kind of food they eat. You don't get that in the national nonprofits. I'm not taking away from them, but we got to, we really need to be doing local.
I think so.
And $300 is great. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. It's just, going back to who do you want to be kind to? So, pick a couple of nonprofits, 2 or 3, whatever. Be kind.
Well, and TEDx Dupree Park has the best of both worlds. We are very geographically based in terms of Woodstock, Georgia, but we have a global message and we're broadcasting global. And so we're getting that global reach to these big ideas of seeding greatness, our theme, in alignment with the TEDx theme of getting the great ideas out into the world. So it's a beautiful, beautiful situation, beautiful opportunity to get your company aligned with us. And so as we close out today, I'd just like to recognize some people who recognize our guests. Thank you guys so much. Dr. Bill Massey, Nathan Caldwell, Jonathan Chambers. I'd like to thank Marcy Walsh, our producer behind the scenes. She's making sure everything happens and works well out there, as well as taking care of things on the Facebook page. During the broadcast, Marcy highlighted one of the comments that was made: everything you touch is an opportunity to impact the world. And I thought that was just so beautiful. And I also want to give a big shout out to some other behind the scenes team members that are making this go so well every week. And that's Randy Stukes, our speaker manager. And now he's been drafted into the role for every episode of TEDx Dupree Park TV as our, I guess you'd call him the casting director, because he helps put together who's going to be on the show and get the word out and make things just run so smoothly there. And then to John Clunan, who's running things behind the scenes on our social media and getting the word out about what we're doing. And these shows are getting several thousand views each week. And if you guys like what we're doing, and can just click the share button and comment and that's a way to contribute to TEDx Dupree Park as well. Of course, there's so many different things that we need, volunteers and sponsors and all sorts of help, but you can just click a few buttons and help us today if you'd like. All right, so there we go. Marcy saying, yes, join the Seeding Greatness movement, sponsor, volunteer, click, like, and share. Steve, I'll give you the last word.
Just everybody have a wonderful weekend. We live in a beautiful world. It's so nice when you get up in the morning in the sun and you can feel the air and you can hear the birds. I do it every morning. We just really got to stop. I'll do yoga, get myself grounded, and when you could just spend 15 minutes at the top of the day, Irish would say at the top of the day, it grounds you for the whole day. And stay away from some of that news. But just, appreciate every morning and just have a wonderful weekend. All is.
Wonderful words of wisdom. Well, we just encourage you guys to all go seed some greatness today. Thank you.
Thank you.